Money is not merely paper, nor coin, nor number on a screen. It is energy, alive, responsive, obedient to the voice of faith and intention. It listens when you speak, it moves when you direct it, and it multiplies when you command it with unwavering certainty. Too many treat money as a master, bowing before it in fear, or chasing after it in desperation. But you were never designed to serve money. Money was designed to serve you. To command your money to multiply forever, you must first release every thought of lack. Lack is not truth. Scarcity is not law. These are shadows born of fear. The truth is abundance, infinite, eternal, flowing like an endless river. When you recognize this truth, money becomes your servant, your instrument, your messenger of supply. Begin by blessing what you already hold. Do not despise the small, for the small carries within it the seed of the great. The single coin, when blessed with gratitude and charged with intention, becomes a magnet to draw its kind. Speak to it. Declare, you are multiplying, you return to me in rivers of supply, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Words are not empty, they are commands that imprint upon the unseen. Hold your money with reverence, not fear. Money is not to be hoarded in anxiety, nor wasted in carelessness, but circulated with wisdom. Every time you give, you plant a seed. Every time you spend with faith instead of fear, you affirm the law of increase. Circulation is the key to multiplication. The hand that gives with joy is the same hand that receives with overflow, but you must guard your words. For words are the keys that either lock or unlock supply. Never say, I cannot afford. Never declare, money is scarce. Such statements close the door on your own river of abundance. Instead affirm, everything I require comes to me in perfect time and perfect ways. My money multiplies without end. Supply is forever flowing. The universe responds to conviction. It ignores hesitation. It honors faith. There is no ceiling to what you may command. Do not place limits on infinity. Money is energy, and energy cannot be exhausted. It can only be redirected. Call it forth with clarity. Assign it a mission. Tell it where to go and what to do. Say to it, you go out and return multiplied, bringing increase, blessing, and freedom. Then release all worry, for worry is the chain that binds prosperity. Remember, multiplication begins with your inner state. As long as you feel lack, you command lack. But when you walk in certainty, when you see wealth with the eye of the spirit before it appears in the hand, you command increase without end. Your thoughts are investments. Your words are decrees. Your belief is the soil in which multiplication takes root. From this day forward, refuse to live as a servant of fear. Refuse to speak as though supply is limited. Stand as one who knows you are the commander of your money, and as you command it with authority, gratitude, and vision, it will obey. It will multiply not once, not twice, but forever, in unbroken streams of abundance. So speak now with boldness. Money is my servant. It multiplies under my command. It flows to me in rivers of plenty. It expands forever without end. I am one with infinite supply. And as you declare it, so it shall be. Money is energy and responds to your words. This is a truth that has been hidden in plain sight, waiting for those who are ready to see it. Too many think of money as a lifeless object, something cold, rigid, and outside of themselves. They see it only as paper, metal, or numbers that shift in a bank account. But money is far more than that. It is a living current of energy that moves, flows, and obeys the vibration of your thoughts, the tone of your belief, and the power of your spoken words. Think for a moment of how energy behaves. It cannot be destroyed, it only transforms. It responds to direction, it takes shape according to the intention behind it, and it multiplies where focus and certainty are applied. Money behaves the same way. When you treat it as an ally, when you command it with faith, it answers you. But when you fear it, chase it, or speak against it, it reflects that energy back to you as struggle, lack, and delay. Every word you speak carries a vibration. Words are not idle. They are commands written into the substance of life. To say, I am broke, or I can't afford, is not merely a casual statement. It is a decree that instructs the energy of money to stay away. To say, money comes to me with ease, or my wealth multiplies daily, is equally powerful. It is a decree that summons increase. Whether you realize it or not, you are always issuing commands. The difference lies in whether your commands are born of fear or born of faith. If you want to see multiplication, you must first understand relationship. Money is not your master. You are its commander. You were never created to serve money. Money was created to serve you. The moment you stop bowing to it in worry, the moment you stop chasing it in desperation, and instead begin speaking to it as one who holds authority, everything begins to change. For money listens. It listens to tone. It listens to emotion. It listens to the conviction with which you speak. Begin now with what you hold in your hand. Do not despise the small, for the small carries within it the seed of the great. Take the smallest coin or the smallest note and recognize it not as limitation, but as a servant ready to multiply. Speak to it with gratitude. Declare to it, you are not leaving me empty, you are returning to me multiplied, bringing increase, abundance, and freedom. This act is not foolish, it is alignment. You are giving energy its command, and energy must obey. Circulation is the law of life. Nothing living can be hoarded without consequence. Water that does not flow becomes stagnant. Seeds that are not planted cannot produce harvest. So it is with money. When you hold it in fear, you close its channels. But when you release it in faith, whether through giving, investing, or spending with joy, you set it in motion. That motion becomes multiplication. Money loves circulation. It increases by movement. Every time you circulate it with expectation of return, you plant a seed in the unseen, and that seed must grow. Guard your mouth, for your mouth is the key to multiplication. Never again speak lack. Never again joke about being broke or laugh about poverty. Words are creative forces. They shape the invisible before the visible appears. Instead, fill your mouth with words of life. Declare, I live in endless supply. My money is multiplying now. Every need I have is already met. Speak it not once, not twice, but daily until your inner world is saturated with it. Faith is built by repetition, and words spoken in repetition etch themselves into the fabric of reality. Some will say this is imagination, that words cannot change the tangible. Yet everything tangible first began as unseen. The building was once an idea. The invention was once a dream. The fortune was once a thought. Words are bridges between the unseen and the seen. When spoken with conviction, they call into form what already exists in potential. You are not creating wealth from nothing. You are commanding wealth that already exists in infinite supply to take form in your life. Do not place limits on what is possible. If you say, I will always just get by, you have limited your own command. If you say, I am open to abundance without end, you have removed the ceiling. Energy does not tire, it does not run out, it does not say no. It simply flows according to the instructions it receives. If your instruction is small, your return is small. If your instruction is bold, your return is bold. Do not insult infinity by asking for crumbs. Stand as one who knows you are heir to endless supply. Your inner state is the soil of your multiplication. A farmer does not plant seed in barren ground and expect harvest. He prepares the soil. Likewise, if your heart is full of fear, doubt, and contradiction, your words will fall flat. But if your heart is filled with certainty, gratitude, and expectancy, every word becomes a seed in rich soil, guaranteed to produce increase. Cultivate your inner ground. Uproot the weeds of doubt. Water the soil with gratitude. Shine the light of faith upon it daily. Then watch as wealth begins to spring forth in ways beyond your calculation. Assign purpose to your money. Do not let it drift without direction. Money without assignment becomes stagnant. Tell it where to go. Command it to return. Say you go forth and bring back more of your kind. You expand my opportunities. You create freedom for my family. You build, you grow, you multiply. Money loves direction. Like a loyal servant, it obeys when you speak with clarity. Remember, this worry is the thief of multiplication. When you worry, you bind the flow. Worry declares lack even before lack appears. Worry says, I do not trust the law of increase. Faith, on the other hand, releases. Faith says, it is done. My supply is certain. Money responds to faith like metal responds to a magnet. It is drawn irresistibly. Remove worry and replace it with rest, for rest is proof of trust. The river of supply is endless. It cannot dry up, it cannot be exhausted. It cannot be withheld from the one who commands it rightly. Money is not a limited pile you must fight over. It is a current always moving, always flowing, waiting for you to step in. Step in with confidence. Step in with authority. Step in with words that open the channel wide. Speak to your money as a commander, not a beggar, and it will rise to obey. Say aloud even now with boldness, money, you are my servant. You go out and return multiplied. You increase under my command. You flow to me in endless rivers. You obey my words and multiply forever. Let these words anchor in your spirit. Let them become your constant decree. For money is energy, and energy never ignores a voice that speaks with conviction. When you live by this truth, lack becomes impossible. You will see provision in places others overlook. You will attract opportunities others miss. You will stand in the flow of endless supply, not because you worked harder or worried more, but because you understood the law of money is energy, and it responds to your words. Speak life, speak abundance, speak multiplication. And as surely as night follows day, your words will shape your wealth will serve your purpose, and your purpose will shine with fulfillment. Money is listening. Command it, and it will multiply forever. Scarcity is an illusion. It is a lie whispered into the mind, a shadow that disappears the moment light is cast upon it. Life itself is abundant. Look at the ocean that never runs dry, the stars that fill the sky without number, the endless flow of breath moving in and out of your lungs. Everywhere you look, abundance is the natural law, the original language of creation. Scarcity exists only when the mind believes in limitation, and limitation is only a thought. When you believe in lack, you create lack. You give power to shadows and they take form before your eyes. But when you believe in abundance, when you stand on the truth that supply is infinite, you unlock a current that never ceases. Money, wealth, opportunities, ideas, They all flow in endless streams when you align your thoughts and words with truth. Scarcity was never real, it was only a veil cast over your vision. Remove the veil and abundance reveals itself everywhere. Money itself is not scarce. It is energy, ever circulating, ever responsive. It listens to your words, it obeys your commands, it reflects your inner conviction. Too many treat money as a tyrant, bowing before it with fear or chasing after it as though it were running away. But money was never the master, it was created to serve you. When you remember this, you no longer tremble at the thought of not having enough. Instead, you rise into authority and declare, "Money multiplies under my command. Supply flows to me without end." The illusion of scarcity often begins with comparison. People look at what others have and conclude there is not enough for themselves. But the truth is, the source of supply is infinite. No one can take what is yours. What belongs to you by divine right will find its way into your life in perfect time and perfect manner. The wealth of another is not your loss, it is proof of the river flowing. And if it flows for one, it can flow for all. Bless the money already in your hand, no matter how small it appears. A single coin contains the seed of great increase. When you bless it with gratitude and speak life over it, you activate the law of multiplication. Say to it, "You are blessed," and you return multiplied. You go out and bring back rivers of supply. Gratitude transforms the small into great, while complaint locks the door to increase. When you complain of little, you confirm the illusion of scarcity. When you bless the little, you reveal the reality of abundance. Scarcity teaches fear, but abundance teaches trust. Every time you give with joy, you plant a seed. Every time you circulate money with faith, you affirm the law of increase. Money is not meant to sit in fear, hoarded piles. It is meant to flow, to move, to grow. The hand that gives with joy is the same hand that receives with overflow. The one who spends with gratitude always finds more returning, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Circulation is the heartbeat of abundance. Guard your words, for words are keys. They open or close the door of supply. When you say, "I cannot afford this," you command lack to stand guard at your door. When you say, "Money is scarce," you strengthen the illusion. But when you affirm, "Everything I require comes to me in perfect ways. My money multiplies without end. I live in a universe of infinite supply," you cut through the shadow and stand in the light of truth. The universe does not respond to hesitation. It responds to faith-filled conviction. The illusion of scarcity falls apart when you look closely at nature. The earth does not struggle to produce fruit. The sun does not ration its rays. The air does not run out after you take one breath. Abundance is the natural rhythm of life. If one tree can produce thousands of seeds, how much more can your life produce when you align with the same law? Scarcity is not law. Increase is law. Expansion is law. Multiplication is law. You are not born into a desert. You are planted in a garden overflowing with possibility. Your inner state determines what you experience outwardly. As long as you believe in lack, you will command lack, and lack will appear. But when you believe in abundance, when you see wealth with the inner eye before it arrives in the hand, you command supply without end. Your thoughts are seeds. Your words are decrees. Your faith is the soil in which increase takes root. To change your outer experience, you must first uproot the inner belief in scarcity and plant the truth of abundance. Assign purpose to your money. Do not let it sit idle in fear. Direct it with clarity. Tell it where to go and what to do. Money is obedient when spoken to with authority. Declare, "You go out and return multiplied." You circulate freely and bring increase. You serve my highest good and expand without end. In this way you do not chase money, you lead it. You do not beg for supply, you command it. And money, like any obedient servant, fulfills its assignment. Remember, worry is the chain that binds prosperity. When you worry, you confirm scarcity. When you release worry, you invite abundance. Faith is the magnet that pulls increase from the unseen into the seen. Faith is not wishing. Faith is certainty. Faith is standing in the invisible and calling it real until it becomes visible. Scarcity crumbles under the weight of faith, for faith speaks to mountains of lack and commands them to move. Do not place limits on infinity. Many pray for just enough, never realizing they are speaking smallness into a limitless universe. There is no ceiling to supply. Money, opportunities, resources, these are expressions of energy, and energy cannot be exhausted. It can only be redirected, multiplied, expanded. The universe is not rationing abundance. It is waiting for you to claim it. Do not ask for crumbs when the feast is spread before you. Stand in your authority and declare, "I receive in fullness. I live in overflow. My money multiplies forever." Scarcity thrives on fear, but abundance thrives on joy. The more you celebrate, the more you magnetize increase. The more you speak gratitude, the more life pours out gifts in your direction. Scarcity withers in the presence of joy, because joy is proof that you already trust the flow. Every smile, every song, every thankful word opens the channel wider for supply to rush in. From this moment forward, reject the illusion. Refuse to live as though supply is limited. Refuse to bow before the shadow of lack. Stand in the truth that you are one with infinite abundance. Speak to your money with authority. Command it to multiply forever. Bless what you have, circulate it with joy, and believe without doubt that more is always on the way. Say now with boldness, scarcity is an illusion. I live in an abundant universe. Money multiplies under my command. Supply flows to me endlessly. I am the commander, not the servant. I walk in overflow without end. And as you speak it, so it becomes. Bless what you already have, for blessing is the secret that turns the little into the much. Many people complain about what they hold in their hand, saying it is too small, too little, not enough. But they do not realize that by cursing their small, they shut the door to the great. The small is never your enemy. The small is a seed, and no seed grows until it is blessed. If you hold a coin, a note, or even the smallest possession, treat it with gratitude. Look at it as if it is already multiplied. Speak life into it, declare it is growing, expanding, and returning to you pressed down and running over. The law of increase responds not to complaints but to blessing. When you say, "This is not enough," you chain your money. But when you say, "This is the beginning of my increase," you release it into multiplication. The soil never despises a seed, it simply receives and multiplies. In the same way, when you receive money, no matter how little, it is not the final harvest, it is only the seed. Speak to it with authority. Tell it, you are blessed. You are multiplying. You are drawing more of your kind. Money has ears, energy responds. Spirit obeys the command of faith. You cannot scold it into increase, but you can bless it into expansion. Those who walk in lack often make the mistake of resenting what they have. They complain about small wages, little savings, or bills that seem greater than income. But every complaint is a declaration of shortage, and every declaration of shortage invites more shortage. The law is exact. What you bless grows, what you curse with words of discontent withers. If you bless a single coin, it can become the door to riches. If you curse your entire income, it will shrink and slip through your fingers. Blessing is more than saying nice words. It is a vibration of gratitude, a release of faith, an inner acknowledgement of abundance. When you hold money and speak blessing, you are aligning your spirit with the infinite supply from which all money flows. You are no longer looking at the number in your hand, you are looking at the endless ocean of abundance behind it. That ocean waits for your recognition. The moment you bless the little, the doors of the great begin to swing open. Think of the farmer who holds a small bag of seed. If he despises the bag and says, "This is not enough to feed my family," then throws it away, he starves. But if he blesses it, plants it, waters it with patience, and believes in its increase, soon he gathers a harvest so great that his barns overflow. The same law holds true for your money. Do not despise the seed in your hand. Bless it. Circulate it with wisdom. Command it to multiply, and watch the harvest return to you. Your words are the tools of multiplication. Every time you receive money, say, "You are blessed. You are growing. You are bringing increase." When you pay a bill, do not resent the payment. Instead say, "I bless this money as it goes forth. It returns to me multiplied. It blesses those who receive it, and it blesses me in return." By blessing in circulation, you enter the rhythm of infinite supply. The hand that gives with blessing is the same hand that receives with overflow. Never say, "I cannot afford." Never declare, "This is all I have." Such words shut the gate of increase. Replace them with living affirmations. Everything I need comes to me in perfect ways. My money is blessed and multiplies forever. Supply never ends. These words are not empty, they are commands. The universe, the unseen law of abundance, honors conviction. It does not respond to fear, but it bows to faith. The truth is that lack is an illusion. Abundance is the reality. Scarcity exists only in thought. When you bless what you hold, you prove to your mind that you are not a victim of numbers but a master of supply. You are saying, "I do not depend on what is in my hand. I depend on the infinite flow that never runs dry." And the infinite always answers faith. Even the smallest demonstration can open the door to wealth. If you find a coin on the street, pick it up with reverence, bless it, and declare it a sign of ever-increasing supply. If you receive a small gift, thank it with joy and see it as the beginning of more. Never despise the small, for the small contains the seed of the infinite. When you honor the beginning, you guarantee the expansion. Money multiplies under command, but command begins with blessing. If you hold your money in fear, hoard it with anxiety, or spend it with guilt, you strangle its power to multiply. But if you hold it with love, release it with joy, and command it with authority, it must return to you multiplied. This is not superstition, it is law. Energy cannot be destroyed, it can only expand, circulate, and return in greater form. Every act of blessing your money strengthens your relationship with abundance. You are no longer chasing money, fearing money, or struggling for money. You are standing as its commander, blessing it as your servant, sending it forth with purpose, and calling it back multiplied. This shift in consciousness changes everything. You stop being a beggar of life and become a master of supply. The secret is simple but profound: bless what you already have. Bless it when it is small. Bless it when it grows. Bless it when it circulates. Bless it when it returns. In blessing, you move from lack into alignment with infinite supply. You awaken the river that has always been flowing, waiting only for your recognition. So take what is in your hand right now, however little or much it may seem, and speak to it with power. You are blessed. You are multiplying. You go out and return to me forever, in streams of abundance without end. Then release it without fear, for fear is the only chain that binds prosperity. And as you bless it, as you command it, as you trust it, it will multiply, forever. Circulation creates multiplication. This is one of the greatest truths you can ever understand about money, prosperity, and the infinite law of supply. Money is not meant to stagnate, it is meant to move. When you try to clutch it tightly in fear, it shrinks. When you hoard it out of anxiety, it resists growth. But when you release it with faith, when you allow it to flow joyfully, it returns to you multiplied, enriched, and overflowing. Think of money as a current of water. A stream that moves, refreshes, and nourishes everything in its path. If that stream is blocked, if the water is hoarded in one place without movement, what happens? It becomes stagnant, murky, lifeless. But when it flows freely, it purifies, it expands, and it sustains. So too with money. Its very nature is circulation, and its very promise is multiplication when circulation is honored. Every time you give, you set multiplication in motion. Every time you release money with a spirit of gratitude, you sow seeds into the fertile soil of the universe. Those seeds cannot help but grow. The law of increase is built into creation itself. No farmer plants one seed and expects only one in return. He knows that the ground multiplies what is placed within it. In the same way, when you release money in faith, you are planting seeds that return as harvest, greater, richer, multiplied beyond recognition. But fear blocks circulation. Fear whispers, hold back. Keep it for yourself. What if you never get more? And so many listen to fear, clutching their money with tight fists. Yet tight fists cannot receive. The closed hand that hoards cannot be filled. It is the open hand, the giving hand, that receives abundance without end. When you trust the law of circulation, you stop fearing loss, for you know that what you release is not gone. It is only set into motion to return multiplied. Consider this: the universe itself is built on circulation. The sun gives light, and the earth returns life. The oceans send up vapor, the clouds release rain, and the rain replenishes the earth. Breath itself is circulation. You inhale, you exhale. If you try to inhale only and never exhale, life cannot continue. The rhythm of the universe is give and receive, flow and return. To resist this rhythm is to resist life itself. But when you align with it, prosperity becomes natural, effortless, inevitable. So many people live in the illusion that giving depletes them. They think that when money leaves their hand, it is gone forever. But nothing in the universe is lost. Energy only changes form and returns in new ways. Every time you pay a bill with gratitude, you are affirming circulation. You are saying, this money goes forth to bless others, and it returns to bless me multiplied. Every time you give generously, you align yourself with the flow of increase, and you step into the current of multiplication. It is not the amount you give, but the spirit in which you give, that determines the multiplication. The one who gives grudgingly, out of fear or duty, is not sowing fertile seed. But the one who gives with joy, with faith, with a heart that knows abundance is infinite, is planting a harvest that cannot fail. Joyful circulation is the magnet of prosperity. Do not mistake circulation for waste. To circulate money wisely is to direct it with purpose. Waste is careless, but circulation is intentional. When you spend with faith, when you give with vision, you are not losing, you are investing in the law of increase. Even the smallest act, done with the spirit of multiplication, has power to unlock rivers of supply. And do not think circulation applies only to money. It is the law of life. Ideas must circulate, or they die within you. Love must circulate, or it withers. Talent must circulate, or it fades. Everything that is withheld shrinks, everything that is shared multiplies. That is the essence of the law. To hold back is to shrink, to release is to expand. Circulation creates multiplication. Imagine two people. One clings to every coin, afraid of loss, convinced that scarcity rules the world. His money does not grow, for fear binds it. He sees little increase, only stagnation, and his heart grows heavy with lack. The other releases with trust, gives with joy, spends with gratitude, and blesses what he holds. Money flows to him easily, opportunities appear, and wealth multiplies. What is the difference? One has aligned with fear, the other with circulation. One has blocked the river, the other has allowed it to flow. Your relationship with circulation reveals your trust in abundance. If you fear giving, it means you secretly believe supply is limited. But when you give freely, it means you know that supply is infinite, unfailing, and always available. The one who believes in infinite supply is never afraid to release, for they know it returns multiplied. Circulation also frees you from the chains of greed. Greed says, I must keep it all. But circulation says, I am part of a greater flow. As I give, I receive. This freedom liberates you from the heavy burden of hoarding and scarcity. It allows you to walk lightly, to live in the joy of overflow, knowing that money is your servant and multiplication is your law. You may begin this practice even with the smallest amounts. Bless the dollar you spend. Speak to it. You go forth in joy and return to me multiplied. Release a coin with gratitude and expect its return in rivers. Do not despise the small, for the law of circulation applies equally to little and to much. The one who is faithful with the small sets in motion the same law that governs millions. The law of circulation is eternal. As long as you live, you will see its rhythm in every part of existence. The wise align themselves with it and prosper. The fearful resist it and shrink. But the moment you choose faith, the moment you release with joy, you enter into a partnership with infinite supply. From that moment forward, you cannot help but see increase, for the universe itself is your multiplier. So live by this truth: circulation creates multiplication. Give freely, spend with faith, bless all that leaves your hand, and expect its multiplied return. Align with the rhythm of life, and you will discover that there is no end to the increase, no ceiling to supply, no limit to the prosperity that flows to you. Release fear, open your hand and step into the flow. Circulation is your ally. Multiplication is your promise. Abundance is your inheritance. And as you live by this law, you will walk in a life of prosperity that multiplies forever. Money is far more than what most people imagine it to be. It is not just paper, coin, or digits moving through an account. Money is energy, living, responsive, obedient to the voice that commands it. It does not think for itself, but it listens carefully to the words you speak and the beliefs you carry. If you approach it with fear, it shrinks away. If you treat it with gratitude, honor, and direction, it multiplies. And if you learn to speak increase into your money, you set in motion a law that never ceases, a flow that never dries, a multiplication that continues forever. So many live in the illusion of lack. They believe money is scarce, that it comes only to the privileged, the lucky, or the strong. They believe it is controlled by economies, governments, or employers. They live bowed down to limitation. But scarcity is not the truth. It is only a shadow born from fear. The truth is abundance, eternal, unbroken, unlimited. Supply is infinite, waiting to be recognized, waiting to be commanded. When you know this, money ceases to be a master. It becomes your servant. It becomes your instrument of good. The first step in commanding your money to multiply is to release all thoughts of lack. Lack is only an appearance. The unseen reality is overflowing provision. When you focus on lack, you block the flow. When you affirm abundance, you open the floodgates. This shift must begin in your own mind. You cannot command what you do not believe. If you still think money is hard to come by, if you still feel undeserving, your words carry no power. But the moment you accept abundance as your birthright, your words become commands, your faith becomes law, and your money responds. Even the smallest amount in your hand is powerful if you bless it. Do not despise the single coin or the modest note. That little seed holds within it the power of multiplication. If you bless it with gratitude, if you speak increase into it, you ignite its hidden potential. Whisper to it, "You are multiplying. You return to me increased, expanded, overflowing." Such words are not empty. They carry weight in the unseen. They mark your money with the vibration of expansion. And once marked, it cannot help but multiply. Circulation is the secret of multiplication. Money must move in order to grow. If you clutch it in fear, it stagnates. If you release it with faith, it flows back multiplied. Every act of giving is a seed planted. Every act of spending with confidence is a declaration that you trust the river of supply. What you give joyfully always returns with interest. What you spend with gratitude always circulates back with increase. That is the law of circulation, and those who trust it will never lack. But the greatest key of all is the power of your words. You must guard what you say about money. Words are creative forces. They build or they destroy, they open or they close. When you say, "I cannot afford this," you chain your own supply. When you declare, "Money is scarce," you shut the door on abundance. But when you affirm, "Everything I need comes to me in perfect ways. My money multiplies endlessly. Supply is forever flowing," then the law of increase begins to act on your behalf. Speak lack and you command lack. Speak increase and you command increase. Money responds to clarity and faith. Do not speak to it with doubt. Do not beg or plead. Instead, declare with authority. Tell your money where to go and what to do. Say, "You go forth, multiply and return to me in rivers of abundance. You bring back more than I released. You serve me, you expand my good. You grow forever." Words spoken with conviction imprint upon the invisible. The unseen substance of supply takes shape around your decree, and in time, it manifests in visible form. You must also learn to release worry. Worry is the thief of multiplication. It is the chain that binds prosperity. If you speak increase with your lips but worry in your heart, your command is divided. Faith is the soil in which increase takes root. Fear digs up the seed before it can grow. So when you speak increase into your money, release it with peace. Trust that it is done. Trust that what you declared is already working in unseen places. Trust that the multiplication is already in motion. even before you see the evidence. There is no ceiling on the multiplication you can command. Do not limit what is infinite. Money, like energy, has no end. It cannot be exhausted. It only changes form, only flows in new directions. If you believe in limitation, you shrink your river to a trickle. But if you accept infinity, your river becomes a flood. Call it forth boldly. Declare it without hesitation. See it in your spirit before it arrives in your hand. That is how you command endless multiplication. Remember that every thought is a seed, every word a decree, every belief a foundation. If your thoughts are full of lack, you plant thorns. If your words are full of fear, you close the door. But if your thoughts are full of abundance, you plant orchards. If your words are full of increase, you open wide the gates of provision. This is why it is said, life and death are in the power of the tongue. Your money is waiting for your command. It is waiting for you to speak life into it, to breathe expansion into it, to give it an assignment of multiplication. So let your declaration be clear. Stand before your money and speak with boldness. You are not small. You are not weak. You are mighty and multiplying. You return to me multiplied 1,000-fold. You expand forever. You flow without end. You increase under my command. Speak it daily. Speak it joyfully. Speak it with conviction that cannot be shaken. And then act in harmony with your words. Give with faith, spend with gratitude, bless every coin, every note, every transaction. Circulate your money with joy, and it will never fail to return to you enlarged. This is not a one-time act, it is a lifestyle. Multiplication is not an event. It is a law, a rhythm, a way of being. When you live in alignment with this law, your money will multiply not once, not twice, but forever. You will stand as one who commands, not as one who begs. You will live as a master, not a servant. And money, faithful servant that it is, will obey. Speak increase into your money, and your money will echo that increase back to you in endless ways. Speak life into your supply, and your supply will live, grow, and expand. Refuse every thought of lack. Refuse every word of scarcity. Stand as one who knows the truth. Abundance is your reality, multiplication is your law, and money is your servant forever. So declare it now with boldness. My money multiplies under my command. It flows to me in endless rivers of increase. It obeys my words. It grows forever. I am aligned with infinite supply, and I live in never-ending abundance. As you speak, so it is. As you declare, so it becomes. And as you believe, so it manifests. Your money is listening. Speak increase, and watch it multiply without end. Circulation creates multiplication. This is a law as real as gravity, as constant as the rising sun, as sure as the beating of your heart. When you understand and align with this truth, money will no longer be a fleeting visitor in your life, but a faithful servant that multiplies and returns. Too many cling tightly to what little they have, as if holding it will prevent it from leaving. But money is like breath. You must inhale and exhale, give and receive, release and return. When you stifle the flow, you choke the life out of abundance itself. When you let it circulate with faith, you invite multiplication without end. Consider a river. A river that flows remains alive, vibrant and nourishing. It waters the fields, fills the wells, and sustains all it touches. But when water is dammed in fear and kept from moving, it stagnates. It grows stale, heavy, and lifeless. Money behaves in the same way. When you let it flow in circulation, with giving, with spending rooted in faith, with generosity of spirit, it comes back to you refreshed, multiplied, and overflowing. When you hold it in fear, it grows heavy, scarce, and suffocating. The universe does not reward hoarding, it rewards circulation. Every time you give, you plant a seed. The seed may appear small, yet within it lies the potential for a forest. The coin you give in gratitude may return as streams of income. The act of blessing another in need creates room for the universe to bless you with more than you released. The hand that gives freely becomes the same hand that receives richly. Giving is not loss. Spending with faith is not depletion. Both are acts of circulation, and circulation guarantees multiplication. But the key is your inner state. If you give with fear, you are still affirming lack. If you spend with worry, you are still affirming scarcity. The law does not multiply fear, it multiplies faith. That is why every act of circulation must be wrapped in gratitude, spoken over with intention, and sealed with the certainty that nothing you release in love can ever leave you barren. Everything you release in faith must return multiplied, pressed down, and running over. Think of how many live in constant contradiction. They pray for abundance yet speak of lack. They long for wealth yet say, I cannot afford. They hold tightly to their money, afraid it will not return, all the while declaring scarcity with every fearful purchase. And what happens? Their words and feelings act as commands. Money obeys, it dwindles, it disappears. It refuses to multiply because it has been chained with fear. Circulation cannot flow in an atmosphere of doubt. The law is simple. Money multiplies when you let it flow. It increases when you release it with faith. It obeys the voice of gratitude, not the grip of fear. Therefore, bless your money before it leaves your hand. When you pay a bill, do not curse it with resentment. Instead say, this money is returning to me multiplied, bringing increase to all. When you give in charity, do not grieve over what you think you lost. Instead, declare, "This seed is planted in fertile soil. It grows into an abundant harvest." In this way, circulation becomes joy, and joy attracts multiplication. Remember, circulation is not carelessness. To waste is not to circulate. To throw away thoughtlessly is not to command multiplication. Circulation requires wisdom, faith, and purpose. Direct your money as a king directs his servant. Tell it where to go, bless it on its way, and expect its multiplied return. Money is obedient, it responds to authority. If you treat it with reverence and command it with certainty, it will obey. Circulation also means refusing to stop the flow with selfishness or fear. The one who holds too tightly closes his hand not only to giving but also to receiving. An open hand both gives and receives. A closed hand keeps all out, including increase. Many who hoard believe they are protecting themselves, but in truth they are building walls against their own prosperity. The wise one circulates with joy, knowing that the universe is a perfect accountant and no act of faith filled giving can ever go unrewarded. Every act of circulation ripples outward like a stone cast into a pond. The energy you release returns, magnified by the law of increase. When you buy with faith, you support others who in turn support you. When you bless others with generosity, unseen doors open for your own supply. When you pay with gratitude, new channels of income flow toward you. Circulation is the secret handshake of abundance. It is the movement that keeps the river of prosperity alive. If you wish to multiply your money forever, you must shift from fear of loss to faith in flow. You must see every transaction as a seed planted, every gift as a door opened, every release as a return in waiting. You must train your words, your feelings, and your thoughts to agree with the law of circulation. Instead of saying, "I am losing money," declare, "This money is returning to me in multiplied streams." Instead of saying, "I must spend," declare, "I joyfully circulate, and my circulation creates endless multiplication." Words are not idle, they are commands. Your money listens, your universe listens, even the smallest circulation is significant. Never despise the little you can give or the small you can bless. A single drop carries the ocean within it. If all you can give is a little, bless it, release it, and declare its multiplication. The universe does not measure by size, it measures by faith. The widow's coin, released in faith, circulates with as much power as the wealthy man's fortune. What matters is the spirit in which it is given, not the measure of its size. Circulation also breaks the chains of fear and selfishness. When you release money with love, you affirm that you live in an infinite universe. You affirm that supply cannot be exhausted. You affirm that you trust in the law of abundance, not the illusions of lack. And the universe honors your trust by returning to you that which you have released, multiplied and overflowing. Faith is the currency that makes circulation powerful. Gratitude is the magnet that ensures its return. So let your money move. Let it serve. Let it circulate with purpose, and it will always come back to you multiplied. Let it be the breath of your prosperity, out and in, give and receive, release and return. For as long as you circulate with faith, you will multiply without end. The more joyfully you circulate, the more richly you receive. The more freely you release, the more abundantly you increase. Therefore, command your money today. Speak life into it. Tell it, "You circulate and return multiplied forever. You bring increase to me and to all you touch. You are a river of abundance, and you flow without end. And as you declare it, so it shall be. For circulation is the secret and multiplication is the reward." Command with clarity and faith. These are not just words but the very foundation of living in unbroken abundance. Money, like every form of energy in the universe, responds to authority. It does not respond to fear, doubt, or confusion. It does not answer the voice that wavers between faith and worry. But it bends, obeys, and multiplies when you speak with unwavering certainty. You were not created to live at the mercy of money. You were created to govern it, to direct it, and to use it as a servant for your higher purpose. Money is not your master. It is not your enemy. It is your tool, your instrument, your obedient servant. And like any servant, it waits for instruction. If you do not give it direction, it will scatter. If you do not bless it, it will wither. But if you command it with clarity and faith, it will multiply without end. Think of money as a seed. In the hand of one who fears, the seed is hoarded, hidden, and eventually it dies. But in the hand of one who believes, the seed is planted, nurtured, and it grows into harvest upon harvest. Money is a seed that multiplies when planted with words of power. Your command is the soil, your faith is the water, your gratitude is the sunlight. Together, they awaken the life within that seed, and increase becomes inevitable. So many speak against themselves. They hold a coin in their hand and call it small. They look at their bank account and declare it empty. They speak of debt, of limitation, of impossibility. And then they wonder why increase does not come. They forget that their words are decrees. Every statement of lack is a command to shut the door of supply. Every careless phrase of, "I cannot afford," is a law written into their own life. They do not realize that money hears them. The universe obeys. But you are not like them. You have chosen a different path, the path of command, clarity, and faith. From now on, every word you speak to your money is a decree of multiplication. You bless it when it enters, and you bless it when it leaves. You declare, you are multiplying. You return to me in waves of increase. You obey my command and bring forth abundance without end. These words are not empty, they are power. Clarity is the first key. What do you desire? What increase do you command? Do not speak in vague wishes. Do not say, I hope money comes, or, maybe I'll have more someday. Such words are fog, and fog cannot bring a harvest. Instead, speak with precision. Command your money to double, to triple, to expand into streams of supply that never run dry. Direct it to bring freedom, expansion, and joy. State clearly, my money multiplies daily. Every dollar I touch grows and returns in overflowing measure. Clarity cuts through confusion and establishes a decree in the unseen. Faith is the second key. Without faith, even the clearest command is powerless. Faith is the unshakable knowing that what you declare must be, and cannot fail. Faith does not look at the bank account. It looks at the infinite supply. Faith does not question how. It knows the how. Belongs to the higher law of abundance. Your role is not to strain and worry, but to declare with confidence and to trust that the command is already fulfilled. Faith is rest, assurance, and certainty in the unseen reality that soon takes form. When you combine clarity and faith, you become unstoppable. Your words carry authority, your money carries power, and your life becomes a testimony of endless increase. You no longer live in fear of bills, expenses, or lack. Instead, you speak to them with authority. There is supply for every demand. My money answers every call. I live in the overflow of divine abundance. And so it becomes. But let us go deeper. Money multiplies through circulation. Just as the blood in the body must flow to sustain life, money must circulate to sustain increase. If you clutch it in fear, you choke its ability to multiply. But when you release it with joy, spend it with faith, give it with gratitude, it moves, grows, and returns in multiplied form. The fearful say, if I give, I will have less. But the wise say, every gift is a seed. Every release is a harvest in motion. To command your money to multiply forever, you must allow it to circulate freely. Yet, circulation without command is like water without direction. It scatters. You must assign your money a purpose. Tell it where to go and what to do. Speak over it. You go forth and return multiplied. You bring opportunities, freedom, and provision. You multiply for the good of all. In doing so, you transform every dollar into a messenger of increase. You are no longer a passive observer of money. You are its commander. Now, hear this truth: your inner state is the soil of all multiplication. If you hold thoughts of lack, you command lack. If you dwell in fear, you magnetize scarcity. But if you dwell in gratitude, confidence, and vision, you magnetize abundance without end. Multiplication begins inside before it appears outside. Your thoughts are investments, your words are commands, your emotions are fuel. Together, they shape your financial reality. So train yourself to think abundance, to speak increase, to feel gratitude even for the smallest supply. Do not despise the small beginnings, for they carry the seed of the great. A single coin, when blessed and commanded with clarity and faith, can attract countless others. A small income, when honored and directed with gratitude, can grow into rivers of wealth. Never underestimate the power of starting where you are with what you have. Command with clarity and faith. This is the law of multiplication. Do not beg for money. Do not chase it in desperation. Stand in authority and call it forth. Say, money, you are my servant. You multiply endlessly. You expand under my command. You flow to me from every direction. You are faithful to return increased. Speak it daily, speak it boldly. Speak it until every fiber of your being vibrates with conviction. Some will mock. Some will laugh and call it foolish. But they do not understand that every fortune begins with belief, every increase begins with a command, and every command backed by faith brings forth manifestation. The world may call it chance, luck, or coincidence. But you know the truth. You commanded, and it obeyed. Remember, the river of supply has no end. You cannot exhaust it. You cannot deplete it. You can only close yourself to it, or open yourself fully. By commanding with clarity and faith, you open wide the channels of increase, and money flows to you without end. It multiplies not once, not twice, but forever. So walk now as one who commands. Speak no word of lack. Hold no thought of fear. Circulate your money with wisdom. Bless it with gratitude. Direct it with clarity, and anchor it with faith. Declare it now: I command my money to multiply forever. It obeys my words. It grows in my hands. It circulates with increase. It flows back to me in rivers of supply. I live in overflow, in abundance, in endless multiplication. And as you have spoken, so it shall be.